All right, we're recording. We're going. Cool. So, hello, welcome back. Official episode 1. So since we last let off, since last Monday, um, I was in Portland, moved up to Seattle. So on Tuesday, I drove up to Seattle, and because I have two different cars, so I drove one car up to Seattle, parked it up there, and then me and my dad got in the moving truck. We drove down to Portland on Wednesday, and then moved all my stuff, got in the moving truck, drove back up, and then I followed him with my other car behind. So ended up working out perfectly. Everything was great. Um, Now I'm back here, back at the parents' house, hanging out for a couple weeks here before we figure out what's going on with Mount Baker. Um, so moved up here on Wednesday. Got here officially fully ready to go Thursday. Everything was great. My parents, they actually are looking to get a car right now. Eventually, they have a couple older cars and they want to sell one of the slightly older cars, trade it in, and then get a newer car for it. But I went to the dealership. Oh my gosh, dealers are crazy. Like, the salespeople, like not the actual dealers. I don't know what they're like. They're probably rich and probably on their thrones somewhere in the back. Thrones made of tires and body parts or car parts or whatever. But well, it could be body parts. They could be murderers. I don't know. A bunch of launderers owning a bunch of car lots out there. A bunch of thieves. But went to one of these car lots, and it's really funny because normally you would think that they would want to make you feel comfortable, the salesperson, and like make you want to feel good about things. But you walk up to the lot and immediately they're like, "Hi, my name's Rick," and they're trying to like shake your hand and they're trying to like get all up in your grill and like tell them your name, and you're like, "Whoa, bro, let's go look at the cars first. Like, let's not." Let's let the handshakes go till later. I mean, like, maybe it's because I'm a millennial, maybe I'm a younger person. It just feels kind of weird to like shake people's hands right off the bat. I mean, like, maybe if like I'm going to like church, or maybe if I'm like in like a business meeting, but like, bro, I'm gonna pay you some money and you're gonna give me a car. Like, we can shake at the end when the transaction's over. Like, I don't know, it seemed real pushy, and plus you kind of had the sniffles, if you know what I mean, a little bit of that devil's dandruff, that sniffing the chalk from the erasers, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, he kind of had the sweats a little bit. So ended up going to Kia first, and Kia, they were okay, but it was funny because we test drove the car. And when we were test driving the car, my mom hits the accelerator, slams it down. And of course, like, I wouldn't do that. I mean, it's not even my car, but she thinks it's a test drive, so she doesn't care. If she breaks the thing, it's on them. It's not on her. But she slams the accelerator down, and like hardly anything. Like, she was saying, like, man, this thing don't have any guts to it at all. And that was good. We test drove those. It was kind of comfy, good size in the Sonata. I don't know what it was. This S was something, but I kept getting it all messed up. I think I don't know what it's called. Let's not even get to that. I can't keep those names straight. But then we went over to the Toyota dealership, and we found a used Subaru, which, Subarus are great. They have good all-wheel drive. It was like a 2015, something like that. So it was, one of the newer drivetrains before they actually started, like they were breaking down back in like 2002, because I have a 2002 Subaru, and like, thank goodness my car hasn't like shredded on me yet. I've replaced the engine once. That blew up on me up on Mount Hood. That's a whole nother story. Actually, let's tell that story now. So I was going up on my... Ooh, what day was it? It was towards the end of the season, but no, it was towards the middle of the season, because I had gotten a couple days up. I had actually driven up to the mountain in that car, so it hadn't blown up on me yet, but it was kind of running a little hot, and I was kind of sketchy getting up there, because it's like 72 miles all the way up to Mount Hood and back from Portland. It's kind of a ways, honestly. So I'm driving up there, right? Everything's good. It's a nice morning, and I get almost towards the top, because there's this one section where it starts getting really, really, really steep, like almost 3/4 of the way, almost towards the top. And I hear kind of like a shudder, like my engine starts shuddering me. I'm like, oh no. And like I hit my caution lights, kind of pull over to the side a little bit. And I noticed that right then I was in the Ski Bowl parking lot there, so I had made it all the way up to Ski Bowl, which is like if you driven up to Mount Hood, you've driven up to like Timberline and all that, you know that like once you hit up to Ski Bowl, you're pretty much almost at the summit. So I had beaten the car up all the way to the top, and then it finally blew up on me. But it was the engine that blew up, not the transmission. The transmission is still good, but the engine blew up on me, and I had to pull over in the parking lot. I remember I called it AAA because I had just insured my cars with AAA, or covered them. It's not insurance, but covered them, for the tow and all that stuff. And I called up AAA, and the amazing thing is they had a bunch of snow that had just gone in the whole city, a couple weeks before that, or a couple days before that, because everything was freezing, everything was getting really cold. So people were sliding off the roads all over the place. And literally, he said if I would have gotten in a crash, or if I would have, fallen or gotten off the side of the road and my car would have blown up like a day or two before that, I would have probably been waiting like 3, 4, 5 hours for the tow truck. But the way it worked out was I called him up. They got there in about an hour or so. The tow truck had chains and all that. He got up to the pass, up to Ski Bowl. It's a 4-wheel drive vehicle, so they had to throw it on the bed, on the flatbed. He cranks it up on the flatbed. He goes, and I get in the car. He gets in the car too. We sign the paperwork, yada, yada, yada. We start driving down the mountain. Everything's good. And we notice that, the snow's starting to go away. Traction's getting a little better on the road. And he's kind of thinking to himself, he's like, man, maybe we should take off the chains. I kid you not, just as he said that, we hear a big boop, 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 boop. And in the back left rear tire, the chain had popped because, when you run chains on dry pavement, eventually that chain's going to wear down. It's going to break. So the chain breaks. It pops the tire. It had dually tires on the back. It popped the inside tire for some reason, and he couldn't just change it there. So they had to bring out a whole nother truck, unload my car, load my car back onto the new truck. Then me and the other tow truck driver got in the new truck and then drove to get my engine fixed at the place I eventually, the garage I went to. But oh my goodness, it was crazy. But the amazing part is that I was at the point where like I was so stoked to go up to the mountain that day, and then like as soon as my car broke down, I knew that like the whole day was shot. And like that was going to be it. So like I kind of like just chilled out and like sat back and like took a deep breath and calmed down because I knew that like it was kind of donezo for the day. My whole day was shot. So when the actual chain broke, I think a lot of people would have been like really mad and kind of like upset. Like, oh great, what else can go wrong today? But like at the same time, I had that thought initially, but then I was like, okay, cool. Well, like, what do we do now? And like, he just kind of figured it out, and I just kind of, got from truck to truck. Luckily, I had a full cell phone, so I could just get on Instagram, I could just get on Twitter, do whatever I want to do on there. So that was kind of nice. I could kind of kill some time doing that. But yeah, that was a trip trying to get up there and back, and that day was ridiculous. But ended up getting a new engine from Spalding Auto over in Spokane. They drove the engine over to Portland, dropped it off, put the new engine in my Subaru, and now I got a new Subaru. The only thing that's wrong with it is I just need to put some new brake pads on it, swap those out, but that's a whole nother day. I can do that real easily just in the garage or something like that. But anyways, we're at the Toyota dealership. Going back to the cars here. My mom, she wants to test drive that Subaru. It's 2015 Subaru Outback. And we all three get in the car, and she does the same thing to the Outback. She stomps on it. I laugh so much because, okay, so in the Subarus, if you've driven a Subaru, you know that when you put it in drive, you can accidentally kick it over to the left just a little bit, and it'll put it in locked first gear, for like towing and things like that. She accidentally hit it, and when she stomped on it, it redlined up to like 6,000 RPM. Oh my gosh, I thought she was gonna break the car. And then she's freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, do something, help me. And like, we're in the middle of like a 3-lane highway road, and we're going like 20 miles an hour, slowing down even more because we're not in gear. So finally, my dad kind of looks at it, and he kind of pops it into drive for her, and then we're good to go. And then she hits the gas again, realizes it actually works like it should. But oh my gosh, I thought we were going to get rear-ended there for a minute. I thought something bad was going to happen, but we were all good. Luckily, they don't know about it at the factory, the dealership or whatever, that we redline that baby up to 7, but whatever, good car. So we tested those two out. Then we also tested out a Honda. Well, we didn't test out a Honda Pilot, but we looked at it. Going to come back and test it out later. Pilots are nice. Highlanders are nice. And we're going to kind of figure out what's in the price range. But oh my goodness, it's a different world out there on the car lots. Let me tell you, like, have your eyes open and have your ears open when you're out there, because they're going to try and get you for every cent. They're going to try and they always like push the features, oh, the third row, oh, this got a V6 in it, oh, and all those flashy features. It makes me laugh, but yeah, we'll go back to that Toyota dealership. Maybe we'll get something worked out, trade in the car, whatever. But that's a whole different experience though, doing that used car lot stuff. So we did that last night, but we'll go back to the original reason why I got this whole podcast here is because of Mount Baker. So on yesterday, if you want to say that, on Monday though, I actually thought today was Monday. It was funny. I messaged a couple of people this morning, just kind of let them know that like I was thinking about them, it was cool and stuff, and let them know to have like a good day and stuff. And I told all of them, I was like, have a good Monday. But it's Tuesday, so yesterday was Monday, and I drove up to Bellingham, had my interview. Went really well, actually. Interviewed with a couple food and beverage managers up there. Had a couple questions for me. We just kind of, I don't want to say shot the shit, but we kind of shot the shit for a little bit. We kind of laughed back and forth, kind of shared some stories and stuff. Had a good rapport. I thought it was kind of a good thing. But they were saying that, if everything sounds good to them, then they're going to email me back in a couple days with a job offer and, the things like the paperwork and all that stuff that I need to e-sign or whatever I need to do. But, just to let me know that I have the job officially. They're going to let me know in a couple days if I do. And basically after that, then if I get into employee housing in the dorms there, then I get another interview with another person that's in charge of employee housing there. And then I'll have to have an interview with her, and then I'll be good to go after that. And then I can move in once the season starts. So it's going to go really quick here. I mean, we're already in the 16th of October. I mean, I got about half a month or so until orientation. I think they said orientation was on the 2nd of November. It's either the 2nd of November or the 15th. I'll have to look in the email that they sent to me. But yeah, so orientation is either in like half a month or a month, one of the two. I mean, that for a lot of people, that's a big difference. But for me, the timeline I'm on, 15 days difference isn't a lot. So coming up this week, though, so that was kind of last week. There wasn't a lot going on. We saw the cars. We saw, I went up to Bellingham. I drove back. Oh, my gosh, let me tell you. So I'm driving back, and on the way up there, I was good. I kind of blasted past traffic most of the way, and it wasn't too bad because they had some construction going on, around Seattle area, around the downtown, and it was down to like one lane this whole weekend, or this last weekend, and then they opened it all up, to all the lanes. So it was cruising through. I left at about 9:30. I got up there at about noon or so, so I was cruising pretty good. Got up there in about 2.5 hours. But the traffic wasn't bad on the way there, but on the way back, it wasn't bad for me. But once we were about 15 minutes out of Linwood, so I don't know where that is. That's way past Mount Vernon, but it's kind of somewhere between like Mount Vernon and Linwood, somewhere in that weird area. About 15 minutes out of Linwood, though, I looked to my left, and on the other side of the road, just backed up cars. And they were backed up all the way to Seattle. So we're talking 15 minutes out of Linwood, so that's at least probably 15 miles north of Linwood, maybe 20 miles north of Linwood, all the way into Seattle. And Seattle to Linwood is another, 10 miles or so maybe. So we're talking like 30 miles of backed up cars. Oh my gosh. By the way, if you drive that, if you're listening to this right now and you drive that commute into Seattle and out to Linwood every day, you're a champ. You win, because that would test my patience so heavily. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine people that do that every day. But Linwood's a nice area. I mean, and obviously you have to, work in Seattle. It's just kind of how it is. So I couldn't believe it though. I looked left and it was just parked. Like everyone was just packed cars. And it wasn't like it was an accident or anything. It was just that that's how busy it is up until about that point. And then once you get about 15 minutes north of Linwood, then all the cars kind of disperse, and then everyone gets off their exits, and you got people that go up into Everett and all that stuff. But actually, I guess Everett was before that. But either way, I couldn't believe the traffic. So I'm zooming in. I kind of hit the traffic once I got about UW area, something like that. It wasn't really that bad though. Just kind of stayed in that far right-hand lane, which probably I'm an asshole for doing that, but I do it anyways. Kind of stay in that right-hand lane, like, I'm getting off an exit and then kind of zoom in at the last minute and then kind of, get back in the right-hand lane. But it was whatever. I kind of have an old crappy car. It's like, okay, so it's not crappy. This is the thing about my car is that, like, it has 223,000 miles on it. No, scratch that. 225, almost 226,000 miles on it. But it's a V6 98 Avalon. So it's got like a really good hardy engine in it. I mean, those V6 Toyota engines, they go for freaking ever. My parents, they had a V4, but it was a Camry. They ran that thing for 450,000 miles, and they still ended up selling it while it was running because they thought that maybe like something was going to break on it pretty soon. So they're like, let's get rid of this thing and sell it off. Maybe it can break on someone else and they can pay for it. But it was still running after 450,000 miles. My dad, he had a job that was way north of Spokane. This was back when we were living on the other side of the state. It was actually at a tribe up there. What tribe was that? It's the tribe that owns Northern Quest Casino. If people are listening to me, they're going to kill me. Quinault tribe? Kalispell tribe. It's Kalispell tribe. That's who it was. Kalispell tribe. So he drove all the way up to Kalispell, up to the reservation up there every day in Ione. And it was about an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. But he put a lot of miles on it because he drove up there 5 days a week. So it was basically 10 drives. It's up there, back, up there, back, up there, back, up there, and times 10. So, and he did that every single week almost. I mean, like, my dad didn't really take many days off on that job. I mean, because he was a director and all that stuff, so he really had to be up there to keep things together and, kind of keep the office together and stuff. But yeah, that was a crazy Camry. That thing was a champ. It pushed. 2006 actually, so not that old. I mean, well, it is old actually now that I think, but that's 13 years old. Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. I'm 28 right now, and I can't believe that I was born back in like 1990. Like, before cell phones, before the internet. I put together my first PowerPoint when I was in 5th grade. I remember that in 5th grade. That was pretty cool. Yeah, so my car, well, getting way off subject here. So my car, 98 Avalon, and it's a good car, okay? So it still runs great. I can put it in park and it sounds good. I can put it in drive, it sounds good. I can run it on the freeway and no weird vibrations, nothing like that. I mean, I drove it down to Portland and back to go play disc golf. Oh, I'll tell you about that this weekend too, about the disc golf. So I drove it down to Portland and back. I drove it up to Bellingham and back, and I did that all in a couple days, and it runs like a champ. I just drove it to the gym and back. But it's a 98 Avalon. And the only thing that's kind of weird about it is that I kind of feel that, like, the brakes are kind of starting to go on it, so I'm going to have to replace the rotors. I'm going to have to replace the pads because it's kind of shaking a little bit, which means it has warped rotors, which means they're just getting thin, and I just need to replace them. But not a dire thing, but it does need to be fixed sometime soon. That's kind of expensive to replace all that stuff. But the shocks really need to be fixed too. That's the thing, is like when I'm driving down the road, I'll hear them like, I can kind of hear them like crackling and stuff like that. And like if I hit any real big bumps, I'm like, whoa, like I'll really kind of go up and stuff. But those are kind of expensive things to fix. That's almost like, $1,000 or so to fix those things. And yeah, it does run good, but I don't really need 2 cars, honestly. Like, my Subaru runs great, my Toyota runs great, and I'm hoping that maybe I can sell that Toyota, get some money out of it, maybe get $2,000 out of it or something like that. Well, it's a rebuilt too, so that's another thing, kind of takes the price down a little bit. But get some cash for that guy, and then only be down to my Subaru this winter, and then I can take my Subaru up to the mountain, park it up at Baker, up in the employee housing up there, and then if I need to, because it's got studless snow tires on it, I can drive it down to Bellingham, I can drive it back up. I'll be whatever, it'll be good as long as the roads are like decently clear. But even if they're not clear, it's a Subaru with 4-wheel drive, the best 4-wheel drive in the world, and studless snow tires. I mean, like, the only thing that could be better is if they were studded. So, and if you have studded snow tires on a Subaru, you have the rig. I mean, that thing's not going to get stuck, and you're going to get up to the mountain every single day as long as the engine or the transmission doesn't blow. It's not going to be a loss of traction that's your problem, basically. So yeah, that thing was a champ for me. I drove all the way up to Bellingham, drove all the way back. I was kind of in weird traffic, like I said, so that's why I kind of didn't want to like stop and go too much because I am a little worried about the transmission on that thing. I mean, it is older, so maybe it's not so good for the transmission to be sitting in first and second gear for that long. Um, I know that like when I've driven that car mostly it's been in the city and stuff like that. So, I really haven't been or it's been in the city, but I don't really stop at stoplights and stay there like I am here, in Federal Way and stuff. God, these stoplights are forever. The other day, I was sitting at a stoplight and I'm just sitting there, I'm just sitting there, I'm just sitting there. It got to the point where like I was like literally like getting like warm from the sun. Like it was like making me hot while I was just there at the light. Like I had to like close my moonroof. Like it was crazy. Um but that's the other thing I like about that Avalon too is that it's comfortable. Even though it has really crappy suspension, even though it has bump brakes on it, the thing about it is that it has really comfy seats and it has heated seats. And the coolest thing I like about it too is it's got a moonroof on it. So, really nice days like today, I can open up the moonroof, or I guess you call it a sunroof on days like today. But you can open it up at night, maybe caress the ladies with the moonroof and all that stuff. I haven't done that yet, but it's there. The option is open. So yeah, that's a good car, but I need to get rid of it. It's done our family good. It is a rebuild, so we're not gonna get a ton of money for it. But I think it's better just to get it out of our hair and just to kind of get it out of the house because we got too many cars here. So if I can get down to one car this winter, that'd be perfect. But this week we're on the 16th right now, so next Monday I have a meeting with a split binding company. I feel terrible not being able to say the name right now. It starts with a K. They have a cool name, but they're up in Seattle here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that meeting next Monday. I think I'm actually going to start putting these out on Tuesday instead of on Mondays or maybe even Wednesdays. But the thing I've kind of noticed is that I'm starting to schedule my meetings and things like that are happening on Mondays. So it kind of doesn't work out to record the podcast on Mondays and then put it out because by the time I get my whole day Monday, I'm tired on Monday night and I'm kind of shot and I'm not ready to, make the podcast and stuff anyways. So I think what I might end up doing is doing most of my stuff on Mondays for the podcast and then coming in here Tuesday morning like I'm doing right here and kind of recapping basically what happened for the week and what happened for Monday yesterday and all that stuff. So coming up this next week, I don't think there's a ton of premieres. Oh, there is an Ooh, who is it? It's one of the snowboard companies. I'm not sure who it is, but they're coming up to Seattle here. I believe it's on the 19th or the 18th. I'll have to look at it, but there's a ski premiere or snowboard film premiere this weekend, so I think I might go to that. And then on Monday, I have the factory tour and the interview and all that stuff with the owner. Oh, I'm not sure if it's going to be with the owner, but maybe a sales manager, maybe someone like that. But I think I'm going to actually take a camera with me when I go to that. Not just my cell phone, but I'm going to actually take my full-on Nikon camera with me. Bring that with me, get a little bit of video footage there. Maybe I'll splice it in. Maybe what I'll do is maybe next week I'll talk like this for a little bit before, kind of, run things through and let you know what kind of happened during the week and stuff. Maybe talk about if Baker got back to me, talk about the ski premiere, talk about all that stuff. But I think the plan for next week is that we're going to kind of have a little powwow like this first. I can totally say that powwow because I'm native. But we can have a little powwow like this first, talk about that. And then I think after I'm going to splice together some video footage, maybe an interview that I have with them, maybe just some video clips that I kind of cut together the factory, whatever it is. But I think that's going to be kind of the plans. We'll talk first, and then we'll have the video segment second, and then we'll kind of mesh it all together in one big video. I'll throw it up here, and you guys can watch it next Tuesday. So, it's been a good week. I'm kind of just hanging out, waiting for Baker to call me back or email me back for the interview. I guess we'll see you guys next Tuesday. This is a Singles Line podcast. Thanks for tuning in.